Our next presenter is Dr. Susanne Scherrer, from the University of Geneva. E ela fala português, então... Ela é Susanne Scherrer, da Universidade de Genebra. Muito obrigado por você ter vindo ministrar a sua palestra para a gente. Thank you very much.
Obrigada, Paulo. Só 2 minutos em português, mas meu português parou no nível da 2ª primária. Então, eu sei falar, mas não sei escrever, e meu vocabulário técnico é péssimo. Então, se você quer ainda ficar 45 minutos, aguentar a última palestra, é melhor eu falar inglês. It's a long connection to Brazil that I have, with Paulo specifically, and Roberto Braga, and Walter Miranda. Since 1998, we are linked via the Academy of Dental Materials, and that's also a reason why many of you know me from several conferences. My little town is as small as the one from Ljubljana. It has 450,000 people only. It's Geneva, but it's probably the 2nd biggest one in Switzerland. We are on the French side of Switzerland, and we're neighbored by France. And this is the highest mountain of Europe. It's called Mont Blanc, and it's only an hour away from Geneva. We have a wonderful lake, which looks wonderful if it's not ugly weather, but it can be ugly as this here. And our dental school will be somewhere near the cathedral here on one side of the lake. But when it's pretty, we have some Brazilians coming to visit us, and this is back in 2003. They were still fit, doing a lot of fitness. Carlos Franci and Paulo, in 2003, on their way to the IADR in Gothenburg in Denmark. And again, this is Lake Geneva, and they also went to see our mountains, because if there's one beautiful thing to watch in Switzerland is the mountains. If you like nature, it's really very pretty to watch in winter as well as in summer. And this is our famous Zermatt, or the Matterhorn mountain. But this course is basically about fractography, and as you will see, Brazil is represented again in this group. Paulo, Nelson Silva, he's in New York, and you recognize Esteban, he's here in the audience. Several other people in this group, in this room, have taken the course in the meantime. This is the 2nd fractography course in 2008, generated by Janet Quinn, who basically introduced this course in 2007 with her husband, George Quinn, who is the world leader of fractography, who wrote the standards about it. And I owe them everything. Everything you will hear today is thanks to these 2 people, and very unfortunately, she died 5 weeks after that course from a massive cancer, lung cancer, at age 58. She never had smoked in her life. So this is very sad. But you may remember Janet Quinn and George Quinn from the first Academy of Dental Materials meeting here in São Paulo. It was organized, as a matter of fact, by Paulo Cesar, and we have George and Janet and myself here in São Paulo having a very good time. So let's look into fractography. My museum of pictures is there, and believe me, I have collected them since 1984 up to today. It doesn't matter which year we are, ceramic do break. They break clinically, and it doesn't matter which ceramic it is, whether this is feldspathic ceramic, alumina ceramic, zirconia ceramic. In the clinics, in the mouth, we have to accept that things fail. Nevertheless, in 1984, when the first all-ceramic restoration came to my university, I was very frustrated. I was a young dentist, just finished with my dental degree. My first thesis was on all-ceramic restoration, and 1 year later, 30% of my restorations had failed, and I was really feeling very guilty that I made something wrong. And during 15 years, I was frustrated. 15 years, I did not know what went wrong with these crowns. Why did they fail? And fructography is going to be one of the issues that hopefully you will catch up and you will enjoy performing it for us to be able to understand why things fail clinically. And as long as we don't collect that evidence, we will not understand clinical failures. The first thing I would like you to write down is this web page. This web page here allows you to download George Quinn's book for free. It's about 28 megabytes worth, 500 pages. It tells you everything you need to know about fructography of glasses and ceramics. It's a PDF, and really you should have it, especially if you work in research in ceramics and brittle materials in general. As I said, George Quinn has devoted 4 years of his life to write this book and made it free thanks to US taxpayers. Free to the whole world. That's a very good thing. Just to remind you that in essence, you have to remember that when a body is subjected to a remote tensile stress field, it will fail from a surface or a volume flaw acting as a stress concentrator. If you remember that, you will have to figure out where this fracture origin is. And if you look at a glass piece, a glass rod that is broken, you'll see some features. You'll see something very shiny here, you may see lines here. Well, and if you go closer with the microscope, you will eventually be able to detect an origin or a flaw, an initial flaw. And then there are fancy names that you can give to what's coming, a mirror, a mist, and then heckle. This is very nice when you look glass. But if you look on polycrystalline ceramics, it will be much more complicated. And once you recognize the origin, you basically can recognize the direction of crack propagation, which is in red here with these arrows. If I just show you a few pictures to slowly get you into the mood of working with me, I will ask you on the left picture, what do you see here? Do you see an origin? Yes. A big pore. Do you see a mirror? Very clear. And these things are called? You need some Coca-Cola or some sugar or some chocolate. I'm going to make you work. It's not me who's just talking. Next to it, we have a resin composite. Do you see an origin? You shut down your mouth. He was #1 in dentistry who came with the very first papers on fructography back in 89. Yeah. Bob Kelly, #1 in dentistry. This is the origin, a little pore, not on the surface, in the volume. If you're very good, you'll figure out that there is somehow a mirror, and then you have hackle, and then it propagates. This is a glass fiber. Again, the origin is masked by a piece that broke off, but that's the origin. This is a 5 micrometer scale. It's a very small thing. You see big hackle lines, and later on, you'll see this is the end of the event. It's a compression curl. This is a zirconia, polycrystalline ceramic. Now, this microscope is too small to show you an origin, but you can see a mirror. And you can see if you have both sides, it's really a perfect mirror image. But let's look at clinical dentistry. My main question was at that time to George and Janet, please explain to me, where did the failure start? Did it start from the chewing occlusal side, from the margin, or from an interface? How can I figure this out? Well, you have to remember one thing. When something breaks, there is an initial, there's a starting event, and then a crack propagates, along a surface until it breaks completely through the piece. And along the crack path, it will leave a certain amount of features. And these features have a specific nomenclature. We will speak about hackle, wake hackle, twist hackle, arrest lines, and the end of the event, if there is a bending moment, we have a curved surface, and that is called a compression curl. You have all that in George Quinn's book. Well, let's go through an exercise. A compression curl results from a traveling crack changing direction as it enters a compression field. It is characteristic for flexure failures, and that's most of the cases in clinical dentistry. If you have a bend bar, the crack starts here on the tensile side, and when it enters into the compression zone, it curves off. It makes like a right angle. And here you will recognize this is the compression curl, this is the origin. Well, we just saw it. The compression curl will be here, here, and here. If macroscopically you see a compression curl, you already know that the origin is on the opposite side. You just have to start to analyze the piece as a whole. Let me show you some crowns, and let me give you one clue for the first compression curl. The first compression curl on the upper left side is this portion here. Now, if I ask you to guess, where's the compression curl on this image? You only have two options, left or right. Please, don't hesitate. No one is going to blame you. Left or right? Good. Level 1, you have passed level 1 of fractography. Now, on the lower right, where is the compression curl? Excellent. And on this one, on the lower left? Majority is saying what? Very good. You all have passed your exam. You're not sleeping. Now here comes the real exercise. This broke in my private practice, porcelain fused to metal, after 2 months. A perio case, the only rigid tooth was the implant-supported metal ceramic crown. And the patient comes back and the thing breaks off. And damn it, I just cemented it permanently with glass ionomer. So before I destroy my evidence, because I have to cut this through, I took a little replica to look at it under the microscope. Do you recognize a compression curl? It's a shoulder. You just have to think about a shoulder, like a right angle. If this is the compression curl, where will be the origin? On the opposite side. The opposite side will be somewhere on the palatal side. So this becomes suspicious. So what do I do with the microscope? I rotate the specimen inside the microscope. And what do I see? 2 blunt indents. It's not a sharp contact, it's a blunt contact. And where does it come from? Now you have to be a dentist to understand that. Contact between the lower arch and the upper arch. I thought I had done a good job in checking the occlusion, grinding it off, but everything was mobile except this one. And you know that the proprioception of the patient is not really there. So he was just banging into this crown quite a lot. And after 2 months, he broke me off my little veneering of my PFM. PFM breaks as well, not just